is that the Rebbe spoke when the Rebbe brought from Hemshech Chaim Beis, but that's more an Oasis Kabbalah, but not so Eizgetesh, that Chassidus is Amshar Chadash of Primis HaKeser, Primis in Seif. That means that, and the Rebbe touches this, the Nekudah which is Negei Hemshech Inyan, that Avada we say that Torah is Chachmaz Shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Hu v'Chachmaz Yechad, Torah is one with Ein Seif. And the Meile Torah is in a rechte Welt, the same way Ein Sof, Legabe Elamis, from our perspective, Elamis are not in the flame. But Legabe the Eibishter, the Welt is Koloch Shiv, Koloch Mikoloch Shiv. You see, the Eibishter is not lacking anything. So since the Eibishter is Ein Sof, so automatically is also, he contains, he has Chachma and Chesed and Sefer Shlashal. And now there's when you get the Torah. Yid was Ritz Chapi Torah, of course, the byproduct is going to be that it's going to be Pashat even in the Musagim of what people value, even in Yonim of Milas, which human beings value, a Yid which is going to live up Torah is going to contain those Milas too. Means the the Rebbe speaking to get to Milas Hamidis, Milas Hamusar, Milas Haseichel. A Yid who sits up Torah is going to have a clarity of mind. But Legabe, that's not the Musar Torah. Legabe Torah Welt and all the Milas of Welt are Koloch Shiv Legabe Torah is. If it's Koloch Shiv, how does Torah contain it? Because Torah is Ein Sof. But Ava became, that's when you get to Shar Chalkei Torah. But when you get to, there's a difference between Chassidus and Shar Chalkei Torah. Shar Chalkei Torah is, at the end of the day, it's the way Ein Sof was mislabish in a certain tzir. Not the tzir, not what the Rebbe was speaking about before, the tzir of Shleimus, of Milos and Midas, the Rebbe spoke before. The Rebbe spoke before is just the Etzem Indian, that the fact that Torah is kel within itself, values, or Milos, what people consider Milos. Let's say you see a Pashto Dugma, someone's going to say that if you keep kashrus, it's the best diet that's possible. So that v'legabi a mitzvah, a mile in nutrition is koloch shel v'legabi Torah. That's ein zah. Because Torah is one with the Eibishter. But we're saying something. But every Indian in Torah is ein sof the way the Eibishter connects himself to a certain prat. So let's say chelik halach is to leheres sa'adam samash shashiyasim. Or in Amachal Par B'Chamer, there's the case of Amachal Par B'Chamer. And the Ein Sof that's Mitzamsim given was Mislabish, not Mitzamsim in the sense that he lowered himself down. The Alter says in Tanya that it's Al Derech Mayim, in Perek Dalit, that it's a different type of Tzimtzum. It's Al Derech Tzimtzum Shchinasim in Badi Yardim. But the Eibishter, the whole Ein Sof, he invested himself, was Mislabish in the Svara Pratis from Meitz Mechaber Olavarai. Meitz Mechaber Olavarai is a Svara Pratis. In them is Mulubish Ein Sof. So Mele, the Rebbe is saying that Nigle Deiraisa, even though Nigle is Miyuchad with Ein Sof, but it's not Ein Sof the way he is in his Atzmius, in his Pshitis. It's the way Ein Sof is connected to a tzir. The Rebbe doesn't touch it. The Rebbe says, but Mele the tzir, which that chelik is chelik pshat. Pshat is a certain chelik in Torah, which has its function, has its tzir. Chelik halacha has its tzir, has its gdorim. Chelik hadrush, chelik haseid. Each chelik has its defined gdorim of what the function of this chelik is. There's Ein Sof. Ein Sof is mislabish in a prat. Ein Sof is mislabish in a tzir. And Mele, it's not amitis Ein Sof. Even someone for him is Meir, the primus of Torah, there's an Eibishter there, not Stam he sees Inyona Pshat, he sees that there's an Eibishter which is Mulubish, but it's the Eibishter the way he's Mulubish Natzir. Not the way the Eibishter is Mufshit, not the way he is in his own Pshitis. The way he connected himself and he locked himself, so to speak, in a certain Tzir. Mashek in Chassidus, the Rebbe says there's no Tzir. Teres Chassidus has no Agdara, what it is. There's no, the Rebbe touches here, I mean, in this paragraph so far, is, we get to, you say, the Klolim. Pshat has certain klolim of the way they relate to psukim. Drush has its klolim of how it deals with Inyona Torah. Chassidus has no klolim. So you have pshat, remes, drush, seid, and chassidus. Because chassidus is not mugdar. What's the pshat that is not mugdar? Because chassidus is not the way Ein Sof was mislabish natzir. It's Ein Sof k'meish hu ba'atzma. That's chassidus amshach chadash from Ein Sof. The way he is mufshit from any shaychus teilumis. Sof kol sof in Niglei Derais is the way Ein Sof is mulubish natzir. That means it's the way Ein Sof is already a makar le'elamis. That's in a certain, that's chitzenius hakesed. It's Ein Sof, but it's the way Ein Sof is connected to tzir. Mashik in primus Torah is the way Ein Sof is batzmi yusef, before the concept of tzir came into being. You say l'chora Maamar speaks about certain topics. The Rebbe says that's kalbush tachlim ve'achleifu. It's not mugdar. It's the Ein Sof k'meishu b'pshitusa. And all that's when a Yid is learning a Maamar Chassidus, the Nekudas Hadvarim is to connect to the Ein Sof. A Yid should have a derher in Ein Sof the way he has no shaychus to tzir. So that's the Nekudah of the Rebbe Zok in Siv Gimel. But the Rebbe is that's in a certain way shatu to Kovetz. Because Ein Sof, and I mean that's the Rebbe is going to, even though it's in Inyona Misaydi, but we're going to see the Rebbe is going to touch up what it means in Aveda b'nefesh Adam, what it means that Chassidus is shachar from Ein Sof k'meish hu ba'atzmi yusef. Der Nekudah ist verstandig. Ja. Yeah, it's not so posh, the Sif Gimel, but we're not going to... We're going to be later. So, Birum Hus is Toras HaChassidus, Yuvhar, means to mevarz and the Mahus, and so having a clarkite in them, should be clear and to understand, not just with Kabbalah, is Ein Sof, is getached, what it means in a Yid in his Aveda. So that very clear, the Bir Teichen HaPnimish HaMashiach. We're explaining the Pnimius of what Mashiach is. What's HaShaykh is mevarz and Mashiach, how is that going to explain what the Mahus HaChassidus is? Ki mischara shal mitzvah nedim Mahus, the Torah says in Tanya that schar mitzvah, so the Torah says from the schar of the mitzvah, can we wissen the Mahus mitzvah. And the Pashtus, the Rebbe brings many times, because to the Shakvatarya, when you get schar mitzvahs Israel derech, you say schar regularly. A mensch arbeit and he gets paid. So the paid stammt doch nicht from the work that he's doing. He works, someone is a chaylish besad, and he gets paid money. The money doesn't stem from the field. Then there's schar, that the schar stammt from the zakas tut. The shalah, the ancient is the Einish a separate thing, a punishment. You did something wrong, you get a punishment. Or someone puts his finger on fire, so it's not that he gets a punishment. That's the titzah. The hezek, this thing, that's a davar shlili. I mentioned if I bet the davar shlili, he's going to get damaged. So there's the type. This schar mitzvah is the gili of the mitzvah itself. A yitzvah mitzvah, there's a certain area of the that's nimshach in the mitzvah. The schar mitzvah is that what the mitzvah is does what is galaber. Means the hechsta zach is that the mitzvah alone is ratzonality, and the gili ha mitzvah that's the schar. So the Rebbe brings that the schar of Chassidus is Mashiach. That means that Mashiach is the gili b'shleimus of what Chassidus is. Because Al Torah says in Mischar Neidem Mahusa, Mekivan shadei afat smeyon es Chassidus, Asi marda malka Mashiach. So Memela, the Inyona shel Mashiach, schara nidas Mahusa. That means that what the Kodev is Mashiach, that what Chassidus is does what is Galaber. So we're understanding what Mashiach is, mit verstehen what Chassidus is. But Bias HaMashiach is, so there starts being maktim. Bias HaMashiach is chadshu kama v'kama in yodem nailam. This al derech, what the Rebbe is saying here is al derech, what the Rebbe spoke before the Gabi Chassidus, 4 biyurim, when they get what the mile of Chassidus is. And then the Rebbe says that the Simchanish does it, so al derech when they get to Mashiach. On one hand, they say Bias HaMashiach is chadshu kama in yodem nailam. K'may, first of all, Gulas Yisrael v'ashchina me'agolos. That's Mashiach hapi halacha. Mashiach hapi halacha b'pashtus is, the first gather of Mashiach that Maamar brings, the Bisman Hazeh were tachas shiltin u'masaylam. Mashiach's Geula means that Yidden are not going to be under the shiltin of u'masaylam. There's going to be Malchus Yisrael. A Malchus which is going to, Vetzachfir and Apiteira, that's going to be the Malchus which is going to be the Shalit. We're going to be under the Eibishter's Malucha. And so that's going to be Geula, in Kibbutz Goliath, will go out of Chutzlar again, in Eretz Yisrael. But it's Geulas Yisrael v'ashchina me'agolos. The Mailim is, so that's, it's not that Yidden are going to be different, the same Yidden, but instead of being under the Shiva, the Umas Ha'olam, will be Tachas Malchus HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Malchus Yisrael. Then there's the Mailim is, there's going to be Yisrael Chom Gil V'in Dvar Mastumim, V'yastigud Asbeir, Molar Zeir Savai. There's going to be not only is going to be a Hasaras Hashlila, there's going to be, we're not going to be under the Shilton of Umas Ha'olam, but there's going to be Yisrael Chom Gil. We're going to have a higher level of Chachma, Asach Aggressor Yidiyas HaTeirah. That's already a higher union. Shleimus HaChachma, and Shleimus HaSagan Elukus, and Shleimus Mola are the Yisavai. But that's all, also the second, and even though it's a Shleimus, not only Hasaras HaShlila, not only Bittul HaGolus, Bittul being under Umas Ha'olam, but we're going to have the Shleimus in Chachma, the Shleimus in Torah, the Shleimus in Hasaga, the Shleimus in Yichud Elukus. But L'maylam is there, you can have the Shleimus in Hasaga Samitzias. So there's the Teva HaSeichel, there's a person who has Seichel, Seichel has his Gdarim, and lepail, a person should have a seichel b'shleimusay, shleimus, the ultimate shleimus that seichel shaykh to have. That's a chiddush. There was never a mitzvah that there was shleimus ha-seichel by Yidden. Lastly, Yisrael Chom Gil, it's going to be the shleimus ha-seichel, shleimus ha-midas, shleimus ha-dvekas nalakus. But all according to the medidav agbala avelt, according to the agdoras of the mitzvahs of seichel, not l'maylam and ateva. Like the Rebbe too, l'maylam is there's going to be a shina and a chiddush of ma'aseh b'reishis. Nicht nur that their mitzvahs is nishava gevorn. With the teva that was created, it's going to be the ultimate shleimus such as shaykh and this mitzvah, but there's going to be a chiddush of ma'aseh b'reishis. So the advantage is bittul teva. That means that the world's going to function shalei al pi midas teva. Shini v'chiddush of ma'aseh b'reishis. That's a hechad inyan than the inyan before. And then, okay, we'll skip the brackets a second. Not only there's going to be in Pashat and Shini HaMetzias, there's going to be bittul ateva, garzevim keves. So that's not just shleimus hametzias like you saw chum delim, but garzevim keves is bittul hametzias, bittul ateva. That's already a new shleimus which didn't exist mit chilas abriya. Chum delim is that the metzias was is nishave gevar mit chilas abriya is going to be betachas shleimus. Here there's going to be another shleimus which b'chlal is not mitzateva abriya. It was looked at another word. There's two dargers in the Lukus. There's the Lukus, the way Lukus is mislabish and is be'erech habriya. Chavis mayim is a keli to chesed. So what's for a chayis elki is Meir mayim, a chayis elki which is mitzumtzum lefi erech, midas which is mitzumtzum lefi erech mayim. Lo as love that Meir is an involved begoli, a Lukus which is higher than Teva. The ain't soft, the blikvul of a Lukus, does what Meir is an involved. A Lukus which is not mugbul according to the tzir of the Metzias and the Teva, you say, Teva doesn't only mean the fact that the world functions in certain rules, is not a ve'er, just mitzad, every nivra has gdarim. But on Hagas and Teva is that the Eivish has machaya the nivra according to how much the nivra is able to handle. Like you have in the Mashal and the Nefesh. So the ayin, what part of the Nefesh is mislavish in the ayin? The Keichariya. So why? Because the ayin is a keli for the Keichariya. So Al-Derech said, Dan Hagas had Teva as neveya, because the chayis eliki, which is mislavish, and which is machaya the velt, is according to how much the nivra is a keli for. So Mayim is a keli for chesed, and the male in Mayim is only nimshach chesed, and chesed is a stira to eish. So Mayim cannot be saved. The kayetzim is it. Mashiach la'asid lavi, which pchin alakus is going to be Meir begoli and vel, the pchin of alakus, which is higher than the how much the world is able to handle. Mitzat its gedar, mitzat its kela. The Mayim atav, and that's what's ambigili. Not only is it going to be nissim is man lizman. Pchin is alakus ma'am atav, that's going to be begili. The same way today, we're living in a matziv where we don't b'chlan margish the chayis eliki, which is melubish. But even a yid that's margish the chayis eliki is melubish, but the chayis eliki is b'tzimtzum. Lo asid love with zayin begoli the elikus, which is l'mayli me'atav, which is higher than agbolos. Shlechein yu keirin es Hashem kiksovet. That's why bisman as so the shem havai is not nikra kiksovet. The shem havai is nikra with shem adnai takinu. Shaken la'asid love the kriyas Hashem is going to be kiksovet. Why? Because bisman as begil shem havai is higher than agbolos atav. Bisman as shem havai is not begil. בכל העולם כולו יגיל לבחין לשם הוואי, הוי יביא כאחד, שלמעלה מזמן המוקים. בדוגמא, הגיל לשם יביא המקדש, שנו חזר. So this is Inyona Neflaim that Rabbi said. Kama v'kama Inyona Neflaim, Shleimus HaMetzias, Bittul Hara, that's the first thing. Bittul Metzias, Shlitas HaMasayla, Shleimus HaMetzias, a Chiddush in the Metzias, which more than the way it was b'shes made Bereshis. Elokus, which is Bechlal higher than Metzias, is going to be Meir and Velt. So that's Inyona Neflaim. There was Meis of Techen and Eilu was not only Yischadish Leirek Belam Hazel, but Chol Eilums. That was trying to say that Mashiach is not just Psadavar Prati. It's not just a specific thing that's going to happen. It's going to be a change in everything. Everything's going to change. In every aspect is going to change. So, in all Eilums, Kian Hagab Eilam Asal Yedim Hu Kfiseda and Hagab Eilam Hazel. Valderach HaKvir is the Rosh Shchedesh Umeadim Shebehem Nimshach Tesis Eilam Eilam. So what's every Yom Tiv, not only in Elam Hazes Meir at Tesefes Gilei, the Chag Hasukis. Also Lamayla in Elam Soyeram is Meir Gilei Naili Yeser when it comes to Yom Tiv. But the Gilei Lamayla and Atzilis is Tole when the Kviyas Hachadashim is in Elam Hazes. However, what it means Zman in Elam Soyeram. The Zman over there doesn't mean, but there is a Musik of Yom Tiv in Elam Soyeram. The Gilei Lukus, the Hisav is Gilei Lukus, which is Meir Bizman Yom Tivim, is not only in Elam Hazeh, also in Elam Hazayin. And the Zman is Nikba according to the Kviyas in Elam Hazeh. It means the center of everything is Elam Hazeh. If there's a Shinui in the Yachas Elukus to Elam Hazeh, the Mele Verta Zed Shinui in all Elam Hazayin. So, Mikimash Yus Meshech Shtana Kol Samatz Be'Elam Hazeh O Protov, had a Shinui Degmas Yigam Be'Elam Hazayin. Okay. Oh, so the Chorei Dechin Yodem Neflaim. Just Omnam Achri Kol Anal, Kol Inyonim Eilu. After Godel Varava Ili Vafloshevim, Einem Eli Stafos Menikudas Yikush Nashir. I'll that I said before the Gabi Chassidus. Inyonim Neflaim. Because Galos Al Kushal Malim Atav. It'll be Shidi V'Chidish Ma'aseh V'Reish Chacham Deil. But that Shalei Be'erech to the Nisht in them is someone's going to say, what's Inyona of Melech HaMashiach? What's Inyona? So Uftan Bittul Shibud U'Masaylam. Nisht in them Bashtet Inyona what Mashiach is. The Pnimi say Inyona. Inyona is not to be Mevatel the Shultan of U'Masaylam and to make Malchus Yisrael. Inyona is not to be Mamshech or the Kushal Malim Atav Endo. Nisht in them Bashtet. Mashiach is a different Inyan Negansi. None of these Inyona. Another Inyan Negansi. Not to be Mamshech or the Kushal Malim Atav Endo. It's Inyan Nifla. Should be Meir. Elikus is higher than Zman HaMokim, doesn't Meir Zan Nevel. It's Rava Ili Vafloshman. Inyan of Blik Vol. The Eira Blik Vol should be Meir Nevel. It's Inyan Nifla Meir. Nicht in them Bashtet was Mashiach is. Because the Rebbe's going to imagine Sof Kol Sof, it's Inyanim of Geder. It's Inyanim of Tzir. It's Inyanim Prati. There's a Elikus, the way Elikus is Mulubish in Teva. There is the way Elikus is Lamali Mea Teva. Elikus Lamali is also a certain Geder, a certain Tzir. And Mashiach is another Inyan Gansi. It's out Inyanim the Flaim Taka, but Nicht in that, that's not only Mashiach is much greater than this. Mashiach is another Inyan Gansi. Let's get to Rebbe Masber Zeh. Okay, I don't know. We don't have to. Let's go first to the Kuntres Inyan before getting this Akid and Pratim. We're just in the Kuntres of the Rebbe Zeh. Number Zen Sifei. This is it. Inyona, what is Inyona ha'ikri shel Mashiach? Hu yichidu. Kedua, that's brought from the Ramaz. That David zochel b'chinas nefesh, Eliyahu l'ruach, Meshel l'neshama, Adam rishon l'chayu, and Mashiach yizkel l'yichidu. So state that the same way in every nefesh, there's nefesh ruach and neshama chayu yichidu. There's 5 dagesh, chamisha shemis nikrula, and pashtus. You have different taichin. When you say the word nefesh ruach and neshama chayu yichidu, it has different taichin. There's one taich is that nefesh is going on machshava dibur ma'aseh. The koich is ba'negei l'poil, l'vushya nefesh, and ruach is going on midas. And neshama is meich, chayu is ratzon apashut, and yichidu is higher than ratzon pashut. I know God's me sometimes, but that's when they get to each nefesh pratis. But when you mean over here, the Alter Rebbe and Tanya also out there is nefesh ruach and neshama is. It's not only nefesh is machshava dibur ma'aseh and ruach is midas. There's the whole tzir hanefesh the way it is inside the b'china of nefesh, and there's the whole tzir of seichel midas the way they are mitzad ruach, and there's the whole seichel midas the way they are mitzad neshama. There's midas, let's say, not midas as ava v'yira, the tnu of midas. You can have the tnu, which they have the whole seichel midas, the whole system of the image of a person of mitzad the tnu of midas. Just to bring up a simple, one of the biyurim is say the marshal that there is. You say, and we get, how do we understand in pashtus? There is the meichen of the person, a mensch versteht das auch, that has no shaykhs at all to the zulas. That means a person you don't develop a yachas to the thing that you understand. A person stays fully removed from the scary thing that a person understands. The tchunas hadavar is not mashpia on the person, mitzat seich. A blight avdallah from that. But a person starts being margish, the gvur of this thing, so he starts getting she gets afraid. It's pale on it. That's what here there starts being a contact. It's not removed and understanding in a cold way, in an objective way, the tchunas of this thing. He's being margish now, the tchunas of this Indian. And then he makes a achlata lepayil that because this thing is davar neira, he's going to walk away. He's going to move. He's going to make a achlata lepayil. So in the dargis there is chinas hanefesh is the way the way the Inyona element is inside the darga of Meir. That's the Inyona element, the way the Inyona Metzir is the way it is inside the Lakus. The Lakus is movdal from a shaykhs to zulas. And mitzad that darga elements are bittul betachlis. There's the shayrish of elements the way it is in Meir. Mitzad that darga, it's so you have the way midas, the way elements are in Meir. You understand what I'm saying? It's not only the darga of seichel. Seichel is ba'avdali. You have the whole shayrish of Metzir the way it is in the darga of Meir. And then it's moved from the Metzias of Elements. And you have the Metzias the way it is inside the Darg of Midas. You have the way it is inside the Darg of Malchus. But I'm saying the same way Malchus is Peil Mamish, so you have the Seichel the way it's Nimshach L'Peil. Or Midas the way it's Nimshach L'Peil. It's not only Maise, Midas, and Meichin. Meichin is a certain Tnu of a Darg of Metzias. And you can have the whole system of the Nefesh, the whole Seichel of Midas, the way it is inside the Darg of Meichin. You understand what this means? In this image. So they have in Kol Sayishtashalos, there is Pchinas HaNefesh, there's Pchinas HaRuach, Pchinas Neshama, Pchinas Chaim, Pchinas Yichida. And Mashiach is going to be Mamshech Pchinas Yichida. That means, was for a Dargan Holocaust was Nimshach until now. David was Mamshech Pchinas Nefesh, whatever that means. But David was Mamshech the Darg of Sfiras HaMalchus. The fact that the Eibishter is the Melech HaKolay. In HaMalchus is Nimshach Shlu David. The Indian of the Indian Haruach, in of Avayira and Vegas of Midas Nelokos, that was Nimshach Rol, Yohanavi. And Mashiach was Moshe was Neshama is Chmeichin. Moshe was Mamshach Teira Moshe was Mamshach Teira Chmaz Shal Kedesh Baruch Habayla Adam Rishon Chaya. But the Darga of Yechidas came on the Nimshach Dvar. The Ufta of Mashiach is going to be that he's going to be Mamshach Pchinas Yechida in Welt. Let's see what the Rebbe touches up here. Now, Malas Yechida Dada Pchinas Nefesh Ruach Neshama Chaya. B'chamisha Madrega Shekol Neshama. A lot of times you have in HaChassidus the chalukas between Naran and Chai Yechida. Naran is one category and Chai Yechida is another category. So there you have the chilik is between Tzir Prati and Pshittis. Nefesh Ruach Neshama is in your Keches Prati. Seichos are Keach Prati. Midas are Keches Prati. It's all, you say specific Inyona. Ava, Yira, Chochma, Bin Adas. Mashek Chai is Ratzin Pashut. You see, the dugmas like in the Nefesh. As a person, what's the difference between Ratzin and Seichel? Seichel is a Keach Prati. A Keach to understand. So a Prati is the Keach. Mashik in Ratzin, when someone wants, you say, Ratzin is not a Keach Prati in the Nefesh. The whole person wants. I want. Ratzon is the whole nefesh is nimshach to a certain thing. So it's not a certain way of connecting to the thing. The person, the way he is, the whole eye, the way he is, Batzmiyusai, is drawn, has a ratzon towards something. The ani kamei shehu is nimshach to something. So ratzon is not a tzir prati in the nefesh. Seichel is a certain way of how relating to an Indian, by understanding it. Midas is a certain way to relate to something. Avid or zira. Ratzon is not a certain tzir, not a certain eif in chibur with something. It's the nefesh kamei shehu is nimshach to an Indian. So ratzon is a keach pasha. So usually the avchana between naran and chai yechida is naran is Inyona prati. Already starts at tzir prati, and then there is the chayis and nefesh, the way it is not a tzir prati, the way it's mufshit from a tzir prati. It doesn't have a pratistic tzir. Although the keach haratzon, which is not a specific form of connection. It's the person, the way he is drawn towards something. The eye kamei shehu is drawn, has a ratzon towards something. It's not a tzir prati. But here the Rebbe is machalik. Here the Rebbe is telling there's never shoch neshama chai is one category, when the chid is another category in Gans. The Rebbe is teaching here is not that the chiluk between stam as a pshitis and tzir. Here the chiluk is that never shoch neshama chai has a certain hagdor, is a certain not tzir in the sense that it has a tzir prati. It has a certain style. It has a certain eifin. Ratzin is mufshit from a tzir prati. Ratzin is not the way the nefesh is mugbal. In a keach prati, Ratzin is that the nefesh kamei shehu else. It's a keach log. The nefesh kamei shehu is nimshach. But Ratzin is also it's not prat. Ratzin is not the nefesh the way he is connected to tzir prati. Ratzin is the nefesh is mufshit from a tzir prati. Mashik in Yechida, the Rebbe is going to teach here the whole concept of pshitis and tzir doesn't exist in the Gabi Yechida. So the etzem husa nefesh on aviyazeh, on not in what type of eifin. Doesn't have any definition at all. Where's the Rebbe Zok? They almost with me, yeah? So Ma'ila say Yechida da b'chinas nefesh uch neshama chaya. The Rebbe is first teaching what's the Ma'ila of Yechida b'chamisha madrege shel kol neshama. First we're dealing with the neshama pratis. What's the chalukah, the Ma'ila of Yechida, and it's yichudiyus legabi the other b'chinas of nefesh uch neshama chaya. It says da b'chinas nefesh uch neshama chaya he madreges pratis. Not the Rebbe saying that the keich is prati. It's a madrege. Ratzin is the nefesh, not the way the nefesh is mugbot tzir prati. The take of a nefesh the way it's not limited. But it's a tnu of not being limited. Ratzin is a certain madrege. It's the madrege of not the nefesh the way it is defined in a prat, but the way the nefesh is tkifas is beyond being limiting it in a certain prat. The pshitas a nefesh, the take of a nefesh. But the seicha gives inyan. You see, you can look at the nefesh as an inyan of seichel and midas, or that it's not mugbot on seichel and midas. He could be nimshach to where he wants. So da the concept of neshama chaya are madreges pratim. They're madreges. They have they're certain inyan. B'chinas yechidi etzem anashama shalamayla migeder pratim. Cheshvan. The kama pratim in there. But the Rebbe is saying there's the etzem hus anashama, the etzem hus not v'yazay, without the gather of what type of eifin it is. You say, what's the neshama? His kashrus talukus. So you have the daggers never shows neshama. You say it's not the pshat. The neshama is you say connection to the Eibishter. In was fara eifin is a. There's also the eifin kesher. Was fara madrege der kesher. Mitzad nefesh the tzura of the kesher is chveis kabal samach shamayim. Mitzad ruach the tzura of the kesher is a starke regish. Dvekus ava v'yira talukus. Mitzad meichin the tzur had dvekus is. The dvekus of seichel v'asag. Mitzad chayim, what's the ifnat dvekus mesiras nefesh? He's ready to give himself away on cheshbein talukus. But there's a certain style in the connection. We can eis touch in was besteht the yichud mitzad b'chinas chayim. It's not mashegin yechida. There's no in was besteht the yichud. It's the nekudas hakesher talukus on aviyazeh. It's not mesiras nefesh and not keches pratim. Has no tzir at all. It's not shaykh to say that it's a skashas halakos on you say to the extent that he's ready to give himself away. It's on kinshum tzir. The etzem ohus of kashet halakos on aviyazeh on a tzir. Not a tzir of not a gebal a tzir of seichel midas and not the tzir of his master's higher than cheshbenis. It's not blikvul either. Nicht in dem steht. It's the mohus of kashet halakos on aviyazeh. On a tzura, on a agdara, on a taich, without any taich. Not a taich of his masrus without any agbolis, ready to give away his life. It's also a certain taich. It's a connection on agbolis, but there's a kesher on agbolis. In Bas Bashtet in the Shama Shachas Telukos that he's ready to give away everything for the Eibishter. That's a certain seer. The Rekud of his kasher is not a certain seer. What's the mohus kasher? Dort Donner ein Zach. His kasher Telukos. In Bas Bashtet this connection. It's beyond saying in Bas Bashtet. In Bas Fara Eifen it is. It's beyond saying any seer, any taich.
So what could you say? So what is it?
It's beyond any. There's no viyazeh. See what's the Eibishter himself? The Eibishter himself is bleakvul. He's not bleakvul either. The concept of bleakvul is already in a darga where there's already a certain madrege. There's a certain siyur. You say there's the eir hableakvul, there's the eir agvul. The etzem of Elokus is the nekud of the Eibishter. There's no viyazeh. There's no tzir of mitzias. This eifner. There's no pshittas either. He's beyond any definition at all. Mitzadat muhus. That was going to touch up later. That on one hand, he's mushlo from saying any agdara. Le'idach, he's not mush. You can't say that he has to be beyond. Since he has no agdara at all, he's the teich of each inyan prati also. That's going to be the eisfer, what the Rebbe Gedam should say. But you see, so it's lamaila from the whole category of prati. What's the Rebbe says lamaila migeder prati? What's the Rebbe saying lamaila migeder prati? What's the category of prati? The category of prati means that a mohos has to have a certain seal. The way we know every mitzvah has to have a certain. What's the gather of this mitzvah? What's the sign in? What's not only? It doesn't only have a mohos. And in vasfara, what type of surah does it have? Is it blikvol? Is it gvol? So it has no touch. Not blikvol, not gvol. The mohos without saying in vasfara eifen it is. The concept of eifen doesn't exist over there. You say he's not defined. So there's the mohos of kesher telekos on agdar. We have it in a little bit in the now after this. I mean, when the Kuntres came out, that's how it didn't come up. But Al Derech, like the Rebbe says there, you have the etzem is mugder in pshitas, and you have the etzem the way it's mushish and atzmus. That's not mugder in pshitas too. I mean, tzad amidas etzem and nefesh, he's not mugdal to be dafka in a way of higher than mitzias. He's the teich of mitzias too. He's a teich of seichel midas too. He's not limited to be in a certain eifin. If he's not in a certain eifin, so he's the tzir prat keich zagloyim are also him. Yeah, I'm just saying there's a darg of etzem which we call etzem means that he's not limited in a certain form. He's mufshit from a tzir prati. Here we're not saying that he's pshittus, that he's mufshit from a tzir prati. He's mufshit from any tzir, from the whole concept of prati. So the etzem mahusa inyan onataych in ganzen nicht. That's where the yid is mushish in atzmus. Same with the Eibishter himself has no taych. So a yid's mitzad etzem hanevesh is yichud with atzmus. Is ein Zach on a taich via mit was is ein Zach. In a way, this Indian you don't have this. I'm saying this is the Indian in the Neshama hot, which even in the Chayis Eir Yedim don't have. Because every madrega in the Lakus, even Eir, his yichud with the Maamar is based on a certain seer. Eir Inyona is Gili Amar. He has a certain madrega. Inyona is Gili, and Kalim Inyona is Keich Hagvol. The Neshama is not with what is the Neshama connected. Inyona is Gili Lakus. Inyona is the Eibishter, Anatach. Not Inyona is Gilel, because that's the Etzem Anasham. Inyona is the Eibishter himself. Not that by Er you say Inyona is Gilei Hamar, and the word of Gilei is Mechayev, a very strong bittul to the Mar. But his link to Lakus is based on a certain seer. He's a certain Indian, and this Indian is connected is ein Zach with Eibishter. If it's a certain Indian, so you have to tie up with what is this Indian one with Eibishter. The neshama is not a certain Indian. Sein ganze Mahus is ein Zikak V'Lukus, on a taich. You heard the meaning of Bissel?
Yeah.
We're going to have to, this is going to be the Das Get Rebbe Reden. So this is the Rebbe says, what does it mean what is the word Yechida? What do you say with the word Yechida? So Yechida, you say, the Pasha is a taich, singularity. So one time you say singularity, there's nothing besides for the fact that it's one with the Eibishter. There's no other aspect other than the fact that it's called Inyona Zulukus. It's in the dark of Chaya. So Inyona Ametzias, which is Blikvul Iber Gamitzalukus. So there isn't only a Lukus over here. There's an Inyan of Bittel and Vekas Lukus. Mesiris Nefesh. So don't know the Eibishter. or there's a certain Inyan of bittul dveikus dalakus in a ad kadei avegem demlem. So there's no, it's not in the Kudah the only thing that's here is the Eibishter himself. So there's not seer of was para eifin the neshama is davik. Inyona is the Eibishter, without any touch. And another Nakuda here is, if you say Yechida Kishma, is that if the Yechida was a certain madrega, asach tiffer let's say than Mesiras Nefesh, or deeper than Chaya. So then, but there's a certain, you say, the Chassidus says Lamashal is you say Midis Lamashal Ave V'Yira. So I mentioned that Regesh Ave, Chavesi has a Regesh Ave towards Chaveri. Reuven has Ave towards Shimon. Mit was wird sich Hareis bringen der Ave? That he's going to do him a favor, let's say. He's going to do him a nicer favor. Avade, or he's going to speak to him Divrei Ave. Avade, the Regesh cannot be expressed fully. In the Divrei Ave V'Saretzem, the Regesh wird sich Hareis bringen b'Shleimus. But a little bit of the Regesh is going to be expressed in the Divrei Ave. Not the whole Regesh. The Aces can't contain the Regesh Kameshu B'Lev. But a percentage of the Regesh is going to be expressed through the Divrei Ave. Why? Because there's a certain erech between the Aces that I'm speaking and the Regesh. If you have two things that have no erech zelazeh, so it's not shaykh to say that azazach. You say someone's going to stam a svara and someone's going to stam do something which has no erech to the svara that he. Aisius are be'erech to express a certain svara. Mashaikin, someone's going to dance. Let's say it's a playal mamish. It's not going to express the svara that he's saying. So the Rebbe is saying here, if Yechida was there's nefesh, ruach, neshama, chaya, zeratz, and pashut, Yechida is not hecher. But Yechida was also a certain madrega, then it could be expressed. Not expressed b'shlemusi, but chaya, the lower dargis, could express a little bit of the kesher of Yechida. So a yid is git avek sein ganzes seichel tzolukus, the darg of chachma. You see, so there could be an eifin where you say just a pashto thing, just to bring out this point. You say that l'mashal lo'elom yilmi l'adam makim shli b'chafetz. For us, because b'shas a mensch learned tazach without having a geschmack. So there's he's going to get tired, or the seichel is not going to work with the ganze teikef. B'shas a mensch had the geschmack in a certain Inyan, so then his seichel is going to work, is going to function much better. Keicha Tainig is higher than Keicha Seichel. But there's one of the expressions of the mile of Tainig is going to be that a Seichel is going to function better. So if Yechida was a certain Madrega, so even though Yechida is higher than Nefesh Ruach Neshama, but Yechida there could be an expression of Yechida through Seichel U'Midas. Then it's not singular. Yechida means that it's a singular Inyan, that nothing is a Yachid ve'ein Doimele. Er is a Zach for sich. Yechid is nicht gesagt for sich. You can't say when you get the seichel, you don't say seichel is not yachid. Why is seichel not yachid? Because midas all fertig has seichel. And man versteht das Sach. Behemshach to the fact you understand that the Indian is teif is nimshach is nisayir midas av. So seichel is not in a caliber for itself. It's not singular. It's in a system where there's you could have a yachas to something up in seichel. You could have a yachas to something up in midas. Mashiach Yechid is shalei be'erech klal legabi the other cases, and they have no yachas. They can't express even mitzumtzum of Yechida. It's not anything else. It means it's singular. Legabi Yechida, there is no tfisa smokin to say Shalei be'erech. If it's another darga of pshitis, or it's asach hecher from seichel, asach hecher from ratzin, asach hecher, but say a percentage of the Yechida could be expressed through ratzin. This is Yechida Gishma is it's nicht begeder prat, it's nicht begeder madrege. It's an other Indian. It's the mohus of kesher telekos on a madrege. The mohus itself. So, B'chinas Yechida Yetzam Anashama Shalamayla Megeder Prat Kishma. Nebetayches. Ime Yeis Asher B'chinas Yechida Yetzam Anashama Nimshach is Da'ad B'chinas Nefesh Ruach Neshama Chai. So l'chora, what's the l'chora? You say that if Aleph is nimshach, if Beis is nimshach from Aleph, if Midas is nimshach from Seichel, that's a raya that Seichel is a zach, which he's a mocker from Midas, and Midas is expressing. From Beis is not going to stem from something which the Gabi that darga Beis doesn't exist. If Aleph from Aleph stems Beis, is a siman that Aleph is a zamis or zach, which is expressed through Beis. Beis expresses it, or Beis is a tulda of Aleph. We'll learn about so the tuldas have to have a dimyan to the others. If from the mocker is nimshach a certain Indian, that means that the Indian has a certain hasama with the mocker. So you say, what does there bring here? From Etzem Anasham, there's the darg of Yechida. And from wann it stammt ist, that a Yid has Havana Basag in Elokus. A Yid has a Keach HaSeichel, which Inyona is Dveikis in Elokus and the Tzur of Seichel. Yeah, the Torah says in Tanya. It's not that there is one system of Seichel and Midas, and the Nefesh Elokis uses it for to understand the Elokus, and the Rosh Hashanah uses it for Tachbulis in Yonei Lamaz. There's Lechatchila, there's Keiches HaNefesh, Keiches of the Nefesh Elokis, and Keiches Chabad and Midas of the Nefesh HaChiyunis, and the Nefesh HaSiklis. It's not. So the Rebbe saying Luchuret Kuntres that from wann it stammt is that there's the Mesiras Nefesh that Yid is Gitzich Chibur Tzelakus on Akbolis. That's Neveh Mitzad Etzem HaNeshama. So that's HaNeshama. So there's the Dag of Chaya. So Etzem HaNeshama. So there's Keiches of Yichud Telakus in the Tzir of Seichel, and there's Keiches of Dvekas Telakus in the Tzir of Aviyir, and there's Keiches of Yichud Telakus in the Tzir of being Mekabel Malchus Shamayim, Mekayim Zanel Mitzvahs. So we can just argue that the Etzem HaNeshama is Mufshat Legamri from the Tzir of Eser Keiches. L'chura, what's the Etzem HaNeshama? He says, Ein zeh Etzem HaNeshama in Imshach is the B'chinas Nefesh Ruach Neshama Chai. So l'chura, the Avon of Kedav Zayin, that the Etzem HaNeshama is, he's a cloud. Means he's the core, that he's the source of everything. Aziv Kedav Zayin. What would be that simple Avon? There's Ratzin and there's Seichel Midas. What's the Etzem HaNeshama? The Kesher of the Neshama that contains the cloud for these all these types of connections, but not something that's mufshet and ganzner from the whole category of Prat. He should be a cloud to these four Inyona. Yeah, there's a musik of klal uprat, and there's a musik of and klal uprat means that the prat has a certain erech to the klal. Versteht the meaning? It brings like this. Ein zeh shebchinas hayichida begeder moker uklal lepratim elu. It's not the pshat that V brings charis yichida. The fact that there is sai ratz and pashat and sai seichel midas, that expresses what yichida is. The Rebbe saying all the time. He's saying Mashiach is going to do grace zachen. These grace zachen express what Mashiach is. So the Rebbe is trying. They don't express at all what the Muslim Mashiach is. See, Chassidus tut of grace zachen. These four things that the Rebbe mentioned what Chassidus does that express at least a percent of what Chassidus is? Not even a percent either. That's in nifla. Does that express at least what the Mahos of Chassidus is? Shalei be'erach it's nimsha from there. The Yechida is moved the legamri, is beyond any, doesn't have any, there's no similarity between the dveikus haseichel telekus of seichel aliki and the yichud and dveikus of yichid. Chura is nimshach from it. Stammt from it. So the Rebbe says, "Ein zeh shebchinas yichid begeder moker uklal leprotamid. Ki losh yichid meir al achtos pshuta mishleles me'eze hi shayches leprot. Kam begeder moker leprot." That's the Rebbe saying here. In lower dargis, you have such a nekuda. Just you say l'mashal that there is you have a certain you see even in Seichel Chachme is the Nekudas HaChachme, and then from there eventually stems Pratim and Bina, and from there stems Regesh Halev Aviyira. So Chachme the Poel, everything initiated with the Nekudas HaChachme. First a person has the Vust, the Etzem Zachasidah Zayin, and then he processed it in a Seichel until he was Meir and Midas. So Chachme itself is the Nekudas Zayin, but that's a Makar Klal. Midas are already a certain form of connection. Avir, Chachma is the gili of the nekuda sein. Once you have the way it is in the nekuda, then it can later develop in many different ways. Avir and pratim. So the Chura, so the Rebbe is saying here that Yechida is Gishma Achdus Pshuto. Pshuto means he's more pshut from any shaykhis tatzir. Amit is pshut. Because if he has a shaykhis tatzir, then he's not singular. Then it's not Yochid ve'in shenili. Then he's a part of the system of Seichel Midas. So he's not Yechida. Yechida means there's an einzige. If there's that Shvat Seichel Midas to Yechida, then there's nicht kein einzige. He's another darga. There's Seichel, there's Midas, and there's another darga. Or there's the klal of these dargas. He's not in a mizgeres of Shneatzim. And Kilosh Yechida Meir al Achtos Pshuta Hamushlelish Me'ezi Shei Shaychus Leprot. Gami Geder Makar Leprot. So if I say the Shaila, so how is it that Seichel and Midas and Ratz and all the Keches and Nevesh are Nimshach from Yechida? Das ki imshi nekuda atzme shlan neshama. El shemenen im tsoy is da bkhines nebe shokh neshama kaya. That is going to take shot. It's another zah. Since it's a nekuda atzmis means that it's not defined. As no hagdara, it's the etzem. Etzem means it's the core of the mitzias. The core is the muhus, which has no hagdara. In vasfara eifin, b'meile, there's no limit to what kind of thing could come from. We'll skip this line because it's. We should just look at this. Okay, the Rebbe touches up. We'll see it inside. You heard the minion. So the nekudas advarim is fakert because the nekuda atzmis doesn't have. You can't be magdirit that it's beyond either. You can't say that it's mufshit from tzir. It's the nekudas se'inyan onaviyazeh. Has no agdar in was for eifen it is. If it has no agdar in was for eifen it is, can stehen in all eifen. He could be in a tnu of bittul, Mesiras Nefesh. He could be in a tnu of seichel, of verstand. Mitzad the point of view of yichide, it's not that mitzad the point of view of the etzem. It's not that seichel is a keach which is neveh mitzad the etzem. The etzem can also be in the tzir of seichel. And the etzem can stehen in the tzir of midas. Can stehen in the tzir of ma'isa. What I'm saying is, if you have the muhus of connection to lukus unattached, so in every eifin there's going to be kesher to lukus. That's not what I'm saying.
It's not the part of echad.
No, echad is that it's a certain inyan which is expressed through the, you say, in what is expressed, the Geidel Hadvekos, that as and the Fashtatus, what's going to bring out the Teikef Hablik Vol of the inyan, you say, just to bring a dogma. It's the state that you have Ratzin Matis Haseichel. A person, sometimes, you have a most of Sudah Zamisar after the person is Trachtas Svar objectively. Not because as Dam all Sheikh the Abba Inei Chachamim that versteht sich. He has svaris and he understands as I say that sein. The primis is never because he has a meshiras and nevish towards this thing. He has a rotzen towards it. And that's a certain mile in rotzen. If a person, other things, other keiches that a person has, the fact that a person, let's say, is afraid of something, a regesh won't be mashpia on seichel necessarily. When a person wants, if there's a rutz into something, it's going to be pale on seichel too. If a person wants something, it's not going to stay only, it's not going to be mistapik that as a vilazeh. And since rutz is such stark that he's pale, that seichel should also find, say, statkus and find biyurin to be mastik the rutz. That's mitzad to take it for rutz. So take a rutz, so he's pale that also seichel should agree and to be mastik the rutz. So that brings out a take for us. You have certain things that in was big tzcharis to take for us, and that even that seichel is going to find svaras and biyurim. If he wants something, all the keichas are going to be nimshach according to what he wants. That brings out the take for us. That's how derech echad. Echad is that the whole mitzias ha'elam through Gadlus Hashem comes the gili through the mitzias ha'elam. So there's a certain eifin that seichel could bring out the ma'alas ha'ratz. We can seichel is being a ma'alas ha'ratz. The Ratzin has this kifus that is poyel that the seichel should also be muta achri Ratzin, and that brings out the take of a seichel. That's how the echad. See, the Ratzin is the gabi that argue is seichel be'ena reich Ratzin. Through the keich seichel is going to be expressed the ma'alas Ratzin. Or eight comment the Gemara is basically said. The Rebbe saying is that yichide is not a certain tzir. If it has no tzir at all, so there's nothing that could express any tzir, inyan nifla. You say, Mr. Does break the shreis the nekuda of what yichid is? It has no tzir at all. But the Rebbe saying leidach, if it has no tzir at all, so it's mushal from, so it's keshet elokus on a tzir. So there's no limit there's nothing that it cannot be expressed in. So what I'm saying is, amensh vashtet elokus. There's the kesher of a yid apiseichel. Mitzad yichid, it's not that through this seichel is going to express wie stark a yid is verbunden. It's not seichel is going to express. Wie bald das keshet elokus as no agbal is, so every koyach is going to be connected. Not because that's going to express it. You understand what I'm saying? I would never say if I bring in that it's in the national look at the sichos, I think that I don't remember, but since Eined Mavade, there's nothing else besides the Eibush. So in Mele, in Seichel Fashteter Eined Mavade. and in the hearts he's hat lieb in the vade. Mit the fist kannst in the vade. Not that the fists are going to not if you have a darg which has a certain agdara, so you say the darg is blikvol. Rotzen is the rotzen is the take of a nefesh. What is seichel? So seichel has no erech legabe rotzen. You say no. Seichel could express rotzen. There's a way that you could find that through keich seichel is going to be expressed malus rotzen. Then you don't need to find a way if the Inyan, the Elyon, had a certain seer. So how is the tachting in HaChassidus? You have to find a link between the tachting and the Elyon. But if the Elyon has no seer, the Elyon has no hagdara and sur and vas para eif and eres farbun. So he could be in every way. He could be in every seer. The Etzem HaNefesh is nicht mugbal, dass darf stehen, darf gehen a seer von Pshittis. Kann stehen in alle seer. So steht in alle seer. Keshet Elokus can come in the tzir of Seichel, that he understands the Eibishter. Keshet Elokus can come in the tzir of Ava. It's all the same etzem. You don't have to say that what's the fact that there's Avas Hashem, because Ava also expresses the take of an Nefesh. Doesn't have to also. There is no take of an Nefesh to express. The only mitzvah that exists is Hiskashus Elokus. Und das hat kein Tzir nicht. So steht das in alle Ifane Mechen. It's in alle Ifane. No, Nigla der Reisa is not Mayor the Inyona the way they are mitzad Etz. We're going to see. In Nigla der Reisa is still not this Galus Inyona the way they are mitzad the previous in. We're going to see. The Rebbe is going to touch up. Here the Rebbe is saying that Dugma of Yechida the way it is in the Nefesh Prata Sabiyid. When they get every single person away from Prati, Seichel Midis is a certain. There's a certain. It's a madreg. It means it's a certain form. The way the keshet elokus is in a certain seer. There's a keshet of ma'aseh, there's a keshet of midis, a keshet of meir. Yechida is not a certain tzura of a keshet. It's the mahus of hiskashet elokus itself, without a tzir at all. Not a tzir of pshita sida. Not a tzir of tachlas habitl. The mahus of yichud u'deivishter on a taich.
Every tzir carries in it like another chilek, like another, like also is kind of lachmas flavors. Like
you're saying mitzad amitas in
mitzad the fact that it's not moved or anything, so it's in every tzir.
So it's everything. Not that it's everything.
Then you're ready to make me a tzir.
No, no, we're going to see. It's going to be the Rebbe's going to touch it up. Huh? And pshittis means that it's beyond. This has no form. I'm saying it's therefore, since it has no form, in order to relate, usually in order to really say, someone's going to say, a yid is Mesiras Nefesh. So what's that for Havan Seichel? So you're going to say that Seichel is going to express the take of Mesiras Nefesh. We're going to find the beer. That this is going to express that. We don't have to express, the Inyan has no tzir. If the mohos of a yid is connected to Lucas on, the only thing that exists is his kashas leibishter. And it has no form. If it has no form, then it could be in any form. You understand what I'm saying? Midzen.
So it's not a tnuah, it's just that's what your nefesh is.
Huh? What I'm saying is,
So
I was just bring out at this point. I just want to bring out this their head a little bit. But you say, let's say, just to bring out a dogma, a yid came to the Rebbe. Let's say he went to Lepoy. He was a scarif in his 30s. He went to college. Kayetz was there. Since you went to college, you could use out your keiches darten to mekarav yidden that they could only meet them in college. Let's say. So, what's the pshat? If a yid or being a mal the Eibush Gavan has a certain seer, it means dafka yid that learned the Chetmim in 20 years, and dafka this that he could be mal the Eibush Gavan. But someone that's if it has a certain seer, someone that has no shaykhs for that seer at all. So but if fulfilling the Eibush Gavan has no seer klal, has no seer at all, doesn't have there's no criterias. What's masin to the kavan? What could be a keli to the kavan? The Eibush Gavan has no definition at all, and his ratz and his kavana to me that should be gilul lukus everywhere also has no definition at all. So who could fulfill the kavan has no definition at all. Does this person have to be able to express? He has to express ultimate victory. He doesn't have to express anything. The only thing that exists is the Eibush's ratz, and has no definition at all. And Mamela, through anything it could be expressed. Anything could suit it. You understand what I'm saying?
Can be new tziyurim.
We can do tziyurim also for us.
From the yechida can come more than the 4 daggers. Can be 6, 7.
The pile, the whatever the kavanah al yena is, that there should be these four dargas and mitzias. These dargas of Nefesh Ruach Neshama Chaya contain the klolos hamitzias of Seder Shlashlos. Let's get let's see what the Rebbe says here. Kameish b'chol neshama pratis. B'chinas hayichida hi nekuda ha'atzmi shlam neshama. Nekuda ha'atzmi means the nekuda se'inyan, not the way it's in a certain madrega, not the way it's in a certain kayach. The mohus ha'inyan itself. So Cain, I just want to bring out one, maybe another hamchashal as a stam. You say just like it's going to be up. It's going to be upkatash by hemshech hakotos. Want to bring out a certain point. You say the mashal that a person has kayach haseichel, for example, and then is when he's learning lepayil. When a person is using a seichel lepayil, there's certain shiurim that the kayach haseichel hatnisht. When a person is learning lepayil, you have to have which sugya you're learning. Which sugya, in which I mentioned, we said this kayach. For his kayach to understand that he could have used any sugya. Could have used the sugya of a sugya in this der inyan Shabbos and Bava Kama, this in that inyan. The kayach haseichel is the kayach to understand. The tziyurim of what type of subject, or the tziyur prati as far as that doesn't exist in the kayach haseichel. It's a kayach to understand. When you learn, when it's materializing l'payil, there's certain tziyur. So you have the etzem ahusa inyan, or you have the HaChassidus means a dogma of fire. So fire, goli dik lahav, is as a color, and it has a certain feeling. The kayach ha'esh, which is in the tzurach halamish, doesn't have a color and doesn't have the properties that the materialized fire has. It's the mahus of the fire. It's the nekuda se'inyan without a tziyur, product. So there's the amidas inyan of the nekuda atzmis is the nekuda not the way it comes in a certain form. The nekuda itself, lepo, when you're experiencing something, so you have to have a agdara as something concrete. What style are you experiencing? But the nekuda atzmis is the etzem husa inyan anatzura. Ganzen anatzura.
Each neshama pratis has this inyan of yichida,
Huh?
and shiurim. Each neshama pratis has
To a certain extent, not the Shloime inyan. To a certain extent, within that neshama itself, it's the mahusa inyan.
It's movable to be mechaya one gof.
Say that, but lefi erech that neshama itself is the mahus of the inyan, not a darga pratis in the inyan. Okay,
Fire also has the yechida.
no, I'm just trying to bring out that there's in even I'm saying you have this concept that you get to mitzvah. You have the mahus, and you have, in order for the mahus to be experienced, lepayil, there has to be tziyurim, which the mahus mitzvah atzmi doesn't contain. When it's being materialized, lepayil, so kayach haseichel is the concept, the idea, the kayach haseichel. You can't experience the potential. When you're experiencing seichel lepayil, so which sugya are you learning? What's Farasfara was in Islam. But in the kayach haseichel is not about experiencing lepayil. The etzem mahus inyan. I'm saying the mahus is always the inyan, not the way it's connected to tziyurim and gdarim. The mahus hadavar is always the inyan, the way it's mufshet from a certain tziyur product. You have fire, you have the kayach ha'esh and the tzorach halamish. Fire that's already a lav of pale mamish like a flame has a mid of how hot it is, the heat, as a color, as a certain property. The kayach ha'esh is not a certain property; it's the hiyuli for esh. So it's more mufshet. That's a kayach prati for esh. So in every neshama there's a nekuda of not a madreg, a kayach prati of the neshama. It's seichel, it's kayach haratz, and it's mesiras nefesh. It's very mahus that it's one with the Eibush. And then how this oneness is going to be expressed. The ultimate oneness is the yichud HaKlos.
Any mispoke by Yidden being discarded says Zamarat. Any mispoke. It's not a chiddush.
Bamiti se'inyin. No, you're saying a different point, but that's also true. But I'm saying, what's the pshat? What I'm saying is this person that went to college. So you have to find that. The one thing you're going to say is, how are you going to connect a person that's a doctor to hafatas gidei lukus? What's the connection between a doctor and gidei lukus? The doctor is calling Inyona, is machem parnasa. What I'm just saying is the doctor is a nice thing. I'm just trying, a lawyer. How are you going to connect that to gidei lukus? How are you going to connect it? So you're going to find that even a lawyer could also express ered b'vadi somehow. Or gidei lukus has no limits, has no tzir. So you're a lawyer. You have to do with people of law. In the bir lepayil, the bit of lepayil is you're a lawyer. You get to know people that only appreciate law. So you're going to be able to have ashpan people that no one else can have ashpan. People that only appreciate the. But it's not. You're not saying that in Vasi the shaykhas vision someone that went to Chveis Mishpat to Lukus. Lukus Ratchil has no tzir. So every tzir kamei shehu could be a kedi, could express a Lukus. If a lukus had a certain seer, so in order to relate to that seer, you had to have some relation to that seer. But a lukus hat kein seer nicht. It's so was for that seer is vet nor sein, Inyona primi of that seer is a lukus. What is seichel? Seichel is a lukus in the form of seichel. So what's connection? What's connections? What does it mean a lukus in the form of seichel? If a lukus had a certain seer, so what do you mean a lukus? So that means if a lukus was pshitis, so with what is seichel shayach as lukus? Because seichel expresses pshitis. But if you say that a lukus has no seer, so what's every mitzvah? A lukus in that eifin. A lukus has no definition. So what's a lukus? A lukus in that eifin. Mitzad the nekuda atzmis. So what's seichel? A lukus in the tzir of seichel. What's avayir? A lukus in the tzir of avayir. It's not that avayir also express pshitis. A lukus is not about pshitis. A lukus is the nekuda seemes was hatish kin tzir. The meila state is what's every tzir? A lukus in that eifin. A lukus in that eifin. It's the same lukus a lukus. That's what we're saying. We will see how the Rebbe is going to attach it later. It's a very important nekuda here. But
Is it behechra?
what do you mean behechra?
Like every tzir has to have this now? Like once you have it, even if you
What?
that works in such a way.
Ba'amitas the Indian, once Chassidus, I was going to say, but once Chassidus is Megala, so behechrich, that's what I was going to attach behechrich. Everything's going to change. Yeah, everything's going to change.
Because the Eibishter
If what I'm saying is, if when a yid connects himself to Nigla Berais, so now let's say his mind was refined. Lav daf gives me the second to be refined. Zocha nasas leizacha zocha. If a yid is connected to HaChassidus, that means that his primius hanefesh was touched. If his primius hanefesh is the mahus of everything, his primius hanefesh is everything. It's not even separate things.
That you should be the rules of everything, or because if you have Yechida, it's going to have to be the
Yechida is the core of everything. The Amita Seinin is that everything that exists is because there's an etzem which is not mugdar, and he's the primius of everything. So could be udashing too much. I don't know. Maybe we should have read more inside. Huh? We should finish the sif. I don't know what was. Medaf leifen? No, I'm saying we don't have to rush. You can't explain the pratis. But you mechaptuf the nekuda sinin, yeah? That so in other words, there is what's the Rebbe saying the Gabi Neshama clothes? There is the Metzias Eilumis. And the Eibishter is the Va'atam Achayis called the Eibishter is the Makar Achayis for Eilumis. So you have Eilumis, the way they are, it's at different dargis. There's the B'chinas HaNefesh of Elokus. The way the Eilumis all bring out Malchus Shamayim, that's it. It's B'chinas Malchus, David HaMelech. And there's the way Seichel, the way Seichel of Nevraim are mitzat Sfiras HaMalchus. And there's so Malchus is, Elokus Inyona is, let's say, Va'ata Odin al Kol B'rei Seichel. There's a certain tzir, the Eibishter is the Melech, the Moishel. And there's the whole tzir of Seder Shtashas, the way they express the Eibishter's Malchus. There's whole Seder Shtashas, the way they express the of Midas, Ava V'yirah, Ruach, that was Nimshach Rolion. And then there is Metzias Ha'elam is the way it is inside the Chiddah. The Metzias, the way it is inside the Chiddah, was never Nimshach in Welt. That's Nimshach through the Chiddah. Okay, we'll be Mamshach Tuesday night. We'll